buys. Ran up here almost to the 244.5 yesterday. Very strong. If we zoom in, we did fail there in the morning. I did put on a short trade. While I was off the desk, most of it got covered into that 50-cent pullback. Got stopped out of the rest here at the end of the day. Very strong bid. Qs continued their relentless up move since failing to break below 136, the fourth or fifth day of up in a row. Here was the failure right here back on the 6th. We had a strong up day, kind of like a sideways day, and then another strong up day. More time we spend here above 140. 50, let's call it, the more bullish it is for the NASDAQ 100 technology. IWM was up as well, but definitely showed some relative weakness there. In fact, almost rolled over at 1 o'clock in the afternoon below the opening low. So we did get above this area. We did get above 140, 160. In fact, I had an alert go off of 142, but I didn't get short. Sold up $1 from there. Yeah, I'd use 140, 150. That's really been the most important price over the last few weeks. Are we holding below it like we did at the end of the day yesterday, or are we holding above it and trade on the side of where we're consolidating? Okay, so the big news overnight was Uber and YNDX forming partnership in Russia. This is the second major market that Uber's bowed out of doing it themselves. There's already some money on the short side here in the last half hour. So I just was having trouble holding above 33.60. It's come up about $1.20 now. So a decent pullback, but not that crazy. Let's look at the daily. So I have no idea of how big a deal this is. The fact that Uber stopped competing with YNDX and the fact that they're partnering. I don't know if it's worth 5% of their market cap, 10, 20, 30. I don't know. I do know that it's up 18% right now, so the market's acting like it's a big deal. And I do know that since it topped out above 40 and got cut almost in half here, actually did get cut in half here, back in 2014, it bounced up and hasn't been able to get above $36. So it's getting close today. So 3 million volume, normally does 2. It's probably going to be another one of those 30 to 50 million, crazy type volume days. Very little risk because of that amount of liquidity. Probably no more than 10, 15 cents of risk on any of these trades. The first thing we want to see is, now that it topped out and came off a buck and change, it starts to move back up. Does it make a lower high? Thought the first natural support was in this 32. We didn't quite get there on this pullback here in the last few minutes. Got the 20 cents. You can see at 8 o'clock, by the way, for those who aren't familiar, at 8 o'clock that's when the institutional volume starts. So you can see that spike in volume after 8 o'clock. So people saw it up a lot. They sold it. After that initial selling, it did pop back up to the resistance area. But then people felt more confident to short it probably against the pre-market high. And you got your dollar down there. So pops back up. 32.80 is the first spot to look at, and then 33. Obviously, if this resistance area gets taken out, then you start to look at the pre-market high again. First down move on the open. Let's see how much it comes down below 32. Been as low as 31.30 since earlier this morning when it failed at 32.5. That would be a pretty deep pullback. It'd still be up $4 though on that. Like this. The next one is Target. So Target, they raised guidance. I have a feeling that they probably lowered guidance recently, because if you look at the daily chart, you can see that it gapped lower first this March. This is probably earnings here. Maybe they lowered guidance here. Now they're raising guidance, so that brings this range back into play. Right now the bid's 53.65, so you can see the raising guidance moves it back above the prior low here, which is in the 52.70 area. It would be very interesting if they flushed it down there on the open as a buy. I definitely would buy it there. And you're really just playing it against this prior consolidation range from when it gapped down below 60 and bottomed out here. After it bottomed out at 53 or so, it ran all the way back up to 58, had trouble at 58 again, and then the most recent warning gapped down. So we have this 55.35 right here, which seems definitely within reach. So 54.5 first. Okay, so I have that on the sheet, 54.5. It did touch that earlier. It is not rolling below 53.5. As I said, this spot here, the support from before the most recent gap down, a flush on the open to this area here, I would buy it or move back up here. Although, let me give you one caveat. In the retail sector recently, and again, these guys are still making plenty of money, but in the retail sector recently, stuff has been punished to the downside more than you would expect. Now, that's usually been when the news hasn't been so good. 10% guide down, the stock goes down 20 or 25. In this case, they are guiding above. But if not for that backdrop situation, I probably would be very, very aggressive here, really long. Under this backdrop, I'll buy here. I'll wait to see the hold above 53, get above 53.20 for confirmation to be more aggressive. ARNA. ARNA, they priced the secondary at 24, so the shorts the other day at 27 weren't so bad. It just people got a little excited, so it didn't work for us or me. And now they priced kind of the secondary where we had highlighted this 24 as potential support. That's where they priced their secondary. In these situations, usually buyers step in and then you get a break back to the upside. So right now it's 24.60. I'd love to see it closer to the secondary price to buy it, and then I play for a move back up to 25 to 26. And then FOLD, they also did a secondary at 12.25. And remember, we played this the other day. It failed in the pre-market. It was a nice short on the open below 13. They kept on buying it at 12.5. They priced the secondary a little bit below there. Looks like in the pre-market actually dipped below there for a second. It's probably a buy there, 12.25 into $12, or move back up to 13 on this one. But the pattern has been recently on all these secondaries, either they get to the secondary price or even trade below, and then they over the next day or two they trade back up. When they don't get to their secondary, they still also trade up because of the demand. There's a lack of supply in the marketplace. You know, there's very few IPOs. The IPOs that are happening are fairly small. Not as many, half as many publicly listed companies as we saw 15, 20 years ago. So people love to scoop up secondaries, and then they buy following the secondary. So it's been a consistently good long play. The details have been a little bit different each time, but over the next day or two, certainly have been rewarded on the long side. NRG, they gave a capital plan, was strong on the open, started to roll over from 1980. I had an offer up at 20 from right on the open, which got taken, unfortunately, while I was off the desk. So I was quite short a little bit of that from right below $20. The move at the end of the day was kind of insane. At the end of the day, it really moved more than an ATR in the final 90 minutes. And it bodes well for some upside follow through today. I covered 95% of my short, so I have a little bit. If we look at it on the longer term, then it did come off from $35 down to $9. If we zoom in a little bit, it hasn't been above $20. You got to go all the way back to 2 years ago. When it was above 20, it spiked up to 21.30 and then failed. And if you go back before the prior sell before that, it was about 22.5. So did I put that on the sheet? Yeah, 22.5. I have just top resistance. I would think impossible for it to, impossible, but almost 99% chance it doesn't get above 22.5 in the near term. So any type of spike, even 21.30, it might fail. This little spike area right here. What you're looking for is on the open, if it spikes up and then comes back down, you'd want to see it starting to hold below $21 a share, and you look for that pull into 20.50, or maybe even a little bit closer to 20. And then some type of multi-day consolidation, then we'll see where it goes from there. Short-term, extremely overbought. PayPal worked very well for us yesterday. If I zoom in on the 1 day, I believe it was first caught it short and then flipped it to long. And that was pretty much, if you go back on the carousel in the morning meeting, I kind of discussed why I did that and kind of the pattern, which was, you get this profit taking on the open, but then the idea is in this situation with the deal with Apple, retail people understand that, and so after the initial sell-off, if it gets back, above 56, I think I got long above 56.10 or 56.20. Had a script to get me flat, I think at 57. It topped out at 57.40ish or so. Was sold the rest of the day, but then sure enough, some people upgraded. They're like, oh, this is a big deal, $70, $80 price targets. And you see it gapping up this morning. But we have good information from yesterday. We know that it failed close to 57.5, and there were people willing to sell it for the rest of the day. So we want to be careful. If it consolidates above 57.30 here and breaks 57.50, that's a nice long setup. Who knows? Maybe there will be some upside follow through. But you want to be careful if it gets back below this 57.25, where after it topped out, it had trouble, it came back, it retested, and then sold off 75 cents from there. And then FAST, for an industrial stock, this thing, it's amazing the moves that this thing has. That's why I bring it up every time they report. So it had gapped up on not impressive earnings. Everybody who had been accumulating it, I guess, between 42 and 43 decided to sell it all at once. And it actually overshot through support, which is silly. Perhaps some of you guys traded it for a reversal. It did reverse off the low. It got back above this 41.80, 42 support and went up another $1 and change. We look at it this morning. It's just kind of back inside of its longer-term consolidation area. I certainly think it's a buy anywhere close to 42. This bar here was insane, the one that put in the bottom. I could see it clawing its way back up to 44, 44.5. That's it. I didn't see it happen, but I imagine if you were watching it, it was nuts. Be patient and good luck.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.